Up, everybody? We're back with uh the second season of Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5. And
It's time to
yeah, before we continue, please like and subscribe, share this with your friends, leave a comment below, let me know let me know what you think of Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5. More specifically the second season. I just wrapped up the second season last night, so I've been waiting all day thinking about it at work, and when I got home I was like, okay, give me a shower, grab me some lunch because I didn't eat all day, and so I can have the energy to come in here and give my overall thoughts, because I've been sitting on it for a hot minute now. The Lancers, led by Declan Akaba, traveled to the synchro dimension because they gotta look for Zuzu and make sure they gather, keep Zuzu and Selena safe from Declan's father, Leo Akaba, who goes by the Professor, who's leading the Obelisk Force from Duel Academy in the Fusion Dimension. His plan is to merge the four universes together into one universe. Now, of course, I've been know like the whole entire story, but for the sake of the review, I want to stick to what we know so far in the first and second season. And once we get to the final season, I'll give my overall thoughts about the entire plan and how everything ends all together. Anyway, they go to the Secret Dimension and we meet up with very familiar characters, Jack Atlas and Crow Hogan, that we've seen from Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5. I mean, Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds. And it's very unique. I gotta give the show this. It's the only one outside of the Bonds Beyond Time movie that we actually get to see characters from different, technically, time periods meet up together. Like, you got Declan and Jack Atlas, two famous rival duelists of the franchise, right up there with like Kaiba and Astro Phoenix and Chaz Princeton, in terms of like those big deal rivals, or Kite Tencho and Shark. So just see those two like having a conversation with each other, that's fun. That's it's good to see something like that. It's cool. However, they somehow, for some reason, got split into groups, and we spent the bulk of the season them barely sticking together. They always like, whenever they do bump back into each other, they have to split right back off. But of course, I mean, because that was annoying. Nobody doesn't want to stick into one group while they're trying to find another person. I was like, oh, we gotta find Zuzu. Found Zuzu. So at least maybe not Yuya, directly, because it takes him a while before he actually get to be in the same room with this girl. When he's spending most of the time whining about, I gotta fight Zuzu, Zuzu, Zuzu. God, and I thought like that girl from Zaxa was annoying when she keep calling like, Yama, Yama. It's like, oh my god, these people are so freaking annoying. What else? Yeah, so they each get a split off into like, you know, different groups, and they eventually like, you know, converge. But it's like, you know, the whole situation with the, you know, in 5Ds where they got the commons and high society topsiders, and that social class dynamic that we spent 3 seasons in 5Ds. Well, to be fair, the first season was a big deal about like the commons versus the topsiders, and thanks to Yusei and his friends, they resolved that matter, and they, you know, a bridge was built in order to, you know, allow a connection between both classes and to, you know, build and interact with each other rather than keeping everybody separate. That was like a whole big crux of the first season of 5Ds. But now it's all rehashed now because the main characters and most of the characters that we know are familiar with from the previous franchises are non-existent. Yugi, Joey, Kaiba, Shark, Yuma, Yusei, Akiza, you know, like, you know, a lot of them, except from a few supporting characters, or even mostly rival characters that we see, you know, coming to play from season 2 and 3 of Arc 5. And it's like, where are they? Well, I have a suspicion of what happened. Is not too dissimilar to like the TVA when you talk about like branching timelines. Like I said, I don't want to get in too much spoilers because that falls into the category of, you know, season 3. But the professor wants to merge these, you know, universes together. Obviously, they were broken apart, and kind of like the TVA with branching timelines, if something caused a divergence, then an alternate timeline where these certain characters that we're familiar with cease to exist. They never come to fruition. So, you know, we meet Jack Atlas. He has a scarlet red archfiend instead of just a regular red archfiend dragon. The whole five signers, that, you know, never occurred. You got Crow Hogan, who doesn't have his Blackwing dragon. His main guy now is Raikiri, the Rain Shower. So even though I love that freaking card, I love the Blackwing cards, but it's just like, I don't know. Like I said, it'll come. I'll give my complete thoughts on my issues with all that in the third and final season. But they in a single dimension, and they're getting, you know, Yuya and the others are getting caught up in some political mess of another dimension. And while I get it, you want to try to, some of them want to try to actually, they interacted with Crow and he listened to Jack's story and all the other common people and listened to their struggles dealing with, like, and Yugo as well, the, you know, parallel synchro version of Yuya. Listen to their struggles dealing with being the common and treated like trash by the topsiders, and you feel bad, but at the same time, it's I don't want to say it's your problem because you're forced into the mix of this whole thing, even though you got your own wider problem that you're dealing with trying to stop Leo Akaba and the approaching Obelisk force that's looming on the horizon. They don't come until like the last 7 to 10 episodes before the season is over, and it's like that is a looming threat. And it's like, while you feel sympathy for these people, you're hard pressed to feel like, oh, man, you go to some other universe and they're dealing with some kind of political strife that you have no invested interest in, even though you feel for them and you hopefully they resolve that mess. But you got a wider problem. It's like in Doctor Strange 2, and he go into that other universe with the Illuminati and Reed Richards and everything like that, and they got some kind of geopolitical thing they're dealing with, or wherever some kind of issues they're contending with, and you're Doctor Strange. You got dealing with this crazy witch that's gonna try to come after this kid for her powers, and it's like, can you imagine that? It's like, I don't. It's like you hesitate to say you don't care, but it's just like you got a bigger problem, a multiversal level problem that this whole situation that's minuscule by comparison to the overall situation that you're trying to avert. But you're rolled up into this stuff. You got this instead of Rex Goodwin as the director, you got this other director, what's his name? Yeah, John Michael Roger. Yeah, who has been in the secret dimension for a while, because he's from the fusion dimension, who, like Dennis Mayfield, who because like Sora, they're sleeper agents, essentially. Not like sleeper, they don't know who they are, but just like they are spies, essentially. Or matter of fact, put it like this, they're like heralds of the Galactus, essentially. They're like the Silver Surfer. It's like they're put in in certain dimensions to prep for the upcoming invasion. Because we get this Dennis Mayfield who befriending the US group, who eventually get found out by Shay that he's from the future dimension, and he was the root cause of Yuto and Shay's friend Lulu, or Shay's sister Lulu, who is a multiversal counterpart to Zuzu and Selena being from the fusion dimension. And she is now teaming up with Yuya in the group when she becomes disillusioned and realized the professor isn't who he claimed to be, where she thought she was fighting on the right side of things, but she was lied to, and realized the atrocities committed by the Obelisk Force, after Shay points out the atrocities, what they did to his dimension from the Xyz dimension, and Dennis Mayfield prepped for that upcoming invasion by once he figured out where Lulu was. He set everything ready for the Obelisk Force top agent, top duelist, Yuri, the more sadistic counterpart to Yuya, who's like the best of the best. And even like Roger was fearing him because like if they send that guy, we're really in big trouble. So Roger was prepping, was sent here a long time ago, don't know how long it was, but was sent to the Synchro Dimension to prep for the upcoming invasion for that universe. But he kind of went AWOL, or just went native, when he just he rose to the top, became the deputy director, running the security team in the Synchro Dimension in New Domino City, and he got comfortable. He liked the power. He didn't want to answer to the professor anymore, and so now he pretty much, in a way, stepped to where he positioned himself, where he can easily control the police force in such a way where it's like, okay, even got this kind of robot Russian dude in a way where he's like, like a self-mutilating type of duelist, to where it's like, okay, like I'm gotta prep for these guys because I know how they think, I know how they work. I need to, have like essentially an army myself, because these guys do not play. But nobody's with him, obviously, because he's lying to everybody. He's further corrupting the system to where to keep people separate instead of together. Ironically, they have this whole tournament called the Friendship Cup, and is nothing about friendship about it. It's all about entertaining. It's just like, it's like a gladiatorial arena, essentially. It's kind of like, giving, because Jack Atlas was from the commons and he rose up and became like the people's champ, but nothing's changed. They figure like one of them rose to the top, he can easily influence everybody to like respect the commons and bring people together. That didn't turn out that way. Don't know why Jack didn't use that power to make any significant changes, even though he spent most of the time giving wise words to Declan's adopted brother Riley, and like Yuya, and it's like in a dickish way possible, but he's still giving some wise words, like Riley telling him about like grit, and like you remind me of me when I was your age. I use that grit in order to force the changes that I need to make in my life to get me out of the slums. You have power in you, kid. You just have to you just gotta let it free. And he's telling Yuya that he gotta, if he wants to be a true dual tainer, you gotta stop copying your dad. Essentially what you're doing is what you think your dad would do. You need to start doing how you would do them. And that's very wise words, but it's kind of ironic. It's like, as wise as you are, how come you're not making any changes between the social class between the topsiders and the commons? That's very weird to me. But then once they get there, they get roped up into the Friendship Cup, and again, in a certain because of a few circumstances that's out of their control, where they get captured by sector security and held up. And of course, you got these figureheads, these 5 old people, that's like, I don't know what do they really do. I'm glad Declan kind of chewed them out towards the end of the season about how, like, you know, especially this dude, this old man, I'm sorry, because they all, you know, all these pompous assholes, all stuffy and like, I'm so, oh my god, he's such a common, oh my god, oh my lord, oh, like, how dare he, oh my goodness, it's all stuffy and proper and snooty, you know, bunch of assholes. But then, like, this old man out of the five figureheads is just smiling, like all happy-go-lucky, and it's like, all y'all are useless. And it's like, he just smile like everything's so happy, like everything gonna turn out just great, like this is unbecoming, like well, I guess we'll figure it out soon. It's like his demeanor and everything like that is just like, it's one of those, like, you know, not like Master Roshi, but it's kind of just old, quirky old guy. I'm Loopy. God, half of the stuff with the Friendship Cup, because they get roped up in this Friendship Cup tournament, thanks to partly to Roger, but it just seems like, okay, what's the bulk of the season where they barely see each other, trying to reconvene with each other. Most do, but they get split off again, and then another, you know, group meets up with the other people, and then they, you know, they separate again. It's like nobody can stick with each other, and they get worked up in this stupid tournament where most of the people is only interested in seeing a spectacle. They ain't really following the whole not guidelines, but the whole ethos of the tournament about being about friendship, but there's no friendship seen anywhere. But the duels are great. There's a good, you know, amount of like graphics being shown. One of my favorite duels was between Crow and Shay. You got like Wing Beast versus Wing Beast decks. Two of my favorite decks that I used in Master Duel. Two of my favorites. I love using in terms of XCs type of cards. The Ray Raptors are probably like my best ones that like I just go ham on. And in terms of Synchro, the Blackwing deck is just stellar on that front. And my third best deck is the Dark Magician deck. Those are the three best decks that I like using in Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. Eventually, there's a couple of cards that I want to add to my Jack Atlas deck, so I'm gonna start trying to use that. I don't want to do so yet because I'm shy of a couple of cards. There's of course the Shark deck, Reginald Castle's Shark deck. I really like using that deck too. That's pretty dope. What else? I like the concept of Yuya's deck, but in terms of practicality, it's just, you know, not necessarily my jam. But I want to at least, you know, go back to it and see what's up. I don't think it's very useful in competitive sense. Oh, and then there's the Gravekeeper's deck that I really like using. But anyway, so we get to see Sora again, and Sora, who come to realize kind of feels like a complete 180, honestly, out of nowhere, but he just kind of said not shown type of thing about him, you know, turning against the fusion dimension, when he come to realize, I want to help out Yuya and the others because Zuzu actually treated me as a friend, and you see the flashbacks and dialogue. And it wasn't like, you know, full flashbacks or anything like that. It's just like, you know, still clips of Sora training in the fusion dimension to be as good as he is. And it's like, oh, I come to realize Zuzu's my friend. This kind of reminds me of like in the first Venom movie at the end where Venom told me, like, you know, you don't want to change me, Eddie. And it's like, how? You kind of miss. There's a scene or two that you didn't add in to reaffirm that statement. And same thing I feel here. Yes, you seem like, you know, in season 1, Sora palling around with Yuya and the others, but he mostly was like, you know, following along Yuya for most of the time. Sure, he befriended Zuzu by extension, but it's mostly because he was teaching her how to use fusion summons. I didn't see much time because Sora spent most of the time in Yuya's house. And it would have been more reaffirming of the friendship if he was following Zuzu around like a little puppy dog and hanging out at her house, eating up her and her dad's food. That would probably reaffirm the whole stance on I see Zuzu as my friend, because I never really had any true friends. It just didn't work for me. It didn't sell it for me. It just seems kind of like a quick thing to get Sora on board. I'm not sure if it's the same way in the manga, or it was a little bit more fleshed out in the manga. I'm not sure, but I don't know. They need to get Sora back on board. But eventually, you know, Roger trying to, like, you know, force a takeover essentially didn't work out. Riley, you know, get a little bit more information about Riley. He's like, you know, kind of like orphan Annie over here, and then he was kind of shy, but then a little more time he spent with Yuya and Declan and everybody, he started to become his own person, because at first, as he describes, he's more of a chameleon that will just adapt to whomever he glums onto, which Declan's mother sees as an asset, and Declan, you know, outly admits the fact that if the mother was here right now, she would be chastising Riley for essentially thinking for himself. And it's like, who is this woman, and why is he a total bitch in other times and seem genuine and a decent person at other times? It's not like a person with layers. She seems like, you know, bipolar in a way. She just seems like a complete asshole, but he was a feel for her in some other scenes just because the way you shot it. And it's like, I'm hard pressed to buy that. Because if you play it like this, where she seems like rough around the edges, but privately she's, you know, actually sweet, and you actually see that how she treats Riley behind the scenes, but in public she seems like very standoffish to keep herself, like, you know, for feeling for complete strangers. She only should, like, you know, express emotion towards her children. Not really Riley's her kid, but we'll get more into that in the next season. But Declan probably should be the only one that actually sees that softer side of her, and by extension Riley. But to everybody else, he seems like a stone cold bitch. But no, she's just a stone cold bitch in one moment, and then like complete, like, oh, soft and worrisome in another thing. She's a mess. maybe it's just me. I don't know. Maybe you guys might see certain things differently, but it's just, I don't know. But the whole friendship cup thing, I think they should have, the whole time with that should have been cut right in half. There's some filler stuff that personally I feel, you know, I won't say went nowhere, but they could have just trimmed all that crap down. Because it's been too long knowing the, like, you know, the full threat that's coming, and you're wasting time with, you know, the rigmarole with the topsiders and the commons and this whole friendship cup thing. Now, granted, Roche is forcing you guys to participate, but it's just, I don't know. You could have, it could have easily been avoided because you're trying to force some kind of, like, you know, sub A and B plots, all these B and C plots going on, and it's like, oh my god, just why you gotta split up in the first place if y'all was together. Declan takes the team to the people in charge straight away, so you can explain to them who you are, who you're looking for, why you're here, and what's coming, and have Shay explain what happened to his dimension. And sure, you might be hard pressed to have them believe you, but the fact that you see them special summon monsters from a different style that you are not familiar with, which adds to another issue they had in season 1, where it's like, if you call like Yuya's dimension the standard dimension, it'd be a little bit more accurate to call the pendulum dimension, and their only special summon they should be familiar with is pendulum summoning, and that should be the norm. Just like Xyz's dimension should have Xyz summon, and that should be the norm, and etc. with synchro and fusion. But in the standard dimension, not only you got pendulum summon, but they're familiar with Xyz, they're familiar with fusion, and they're familiar with synchro. It's just like, okay, you kind of breaking your rules a bit here. If each one has like a specific summon coming from a specific dimension, they should stick to that, and nobody should be the Xyz summoner should not be any of the wiser about what synchro summoning is, and vice versa, that kind of thing. But eventually, once because things are getting heated between the, you know, commons and the topsiders, because one of Crow's friends is essentially trying to incite a freaking riot, which gets all the snooty a-holes, you know, all, you know, worrisome. It kind of reminds me of like The Dark Knight Rises, where all the poor people are like dragging the rich folk out of their homes kind of situation. I'm pretty sure it didn't really happen, but I'm pretty sure that was going through their freaking minds. But it was Crow who was doing it the right way and trying to inspire people to essentially, it's like Crow's peaceful protest against inciting violence ethos his friend has. But all that gets kind of undercutted when Obelisk Force slowly starts creeping in into the city, and Selena gets, you know, transported back to the fusion dimension by one of the generals, and Declan is going up against, because he, you know, go against Roger after he captures Zuzu, and is trying to deal with him. Oh, and then eventually, finally, well, I won't say finally, but I think this is probably will technically be the second interaction Yugo has with Yuya, because the first time when Yugo was dueling against Yuto in season 1, these guys only had like a couple of words exchanged before the Yuya counterparts are starting to, eyes starts glowing and they go into some kind of trance, and they start, and they happen again here when they're, not only together, but the dragons are played together when they all trying to duel somebody. They all get whipped up in a trance, and they start saying this line like, must unite, must unite, must unite. Clearly these four are trying to, well, I say four because Yuto and Yuya are merged together for some inexplicable reason. I don't know why. After losing a duel, well, it's not like these guys haven't lost a duel before, but it didn't force their spirit to merge with the other. Because clearly these guys are from one singular universe that got split up, and they're trying to force themselves together. You don't see that with Selena, Zuzu, any point in time. It's more specifically these guys. You'll know why in season 3. But yeah, and then you get all these other sub characters like there's old timer who used to be some kind of hero for the commons, using some like not Cloudian but Cardian deck, and it's like, I don't know, he doesn't come across as like some kind of old folk hero or anything like that. They treat it like he's Jiraiya, the Toad Sage from Naruto, like some ancient hero, legendary guy. He seems like some crackpot that got locked up in the prison system. And it's like, honestly, I'm not saying I should not care. You want to add an extra layer of a issue for the characters to worry about. That should come from like somebody like Crow and his friends, but that shouldn't be like the bulk of the focus, honestly. I don't know, it shouldn't be the main priority. Like, you already, if you watch 5Ds, you already gone through all that. Now you kind of like rehashing that. Like, I would say you shouldn't care, or you don't have any right to care, but it's just like, I don't care. It's only to, if it's like on an even tilt with the whole, let's say it's like a full 10 points. 5 of those 10 points are like the Lumen threat of Obelisk Force, and the other 5 is the common and topsider situation. The common and topsider situation isn't on an even kilter for me in terms of a legit threat that we gotta focus on for season 2. That should be by 3 points of an issue that we should be concerned ourselves with. And like the other 7 is the Obelisk Force threat. It's just, I don't know. You're taking up so much time with useless crap. I mean, like I said, it's not like it's not needed. I like it this season better than I did season 2. And honestly, looking back on how the overall 3 seasons turned out, I think season 2 is by far slightly better, and then I mark season 3 second best, and the first season dead last in my opinion, if I rank them. But the duels are pretty legit. They're really, really good. I have my handful of favorites, but it's not like that, you got to give them an excuse to duel certain people, and the whole friendship cup is like a good way. But I don't know, it seems like forced upon them instead of feel like a little bit more natural, in my opinion. That's my opinion. You might feel differently, but I wouldn't say it's not needed, because when Yuya goes to these other dimensions, he should be learning new special summonings, utilize his pendulum ability and merging it along with the unique summoning he learns from other people from these different dimensions. Like he learned fusion summoning by watching Sora and Zuzu from his own dimension, but then he goes to meet up with Yuto and Shay. He learns XC summoning by from them, and then once he goes to the synchro dimension, he starts utilizing tuner monsters, so that way he can start tuning his monsters to make synchro summonings, and and incorporating that in his dual strategy to be on the same level as Declan, because he already from season 1 mastered all those types of summonings, which makes Declan one of those unique rivals. Matter of fact, him and Kite from Zexal is the only two rival duelists in the Yu-Gi-Oh franchise that have always beaten the main character. They never lost to the main character. It's super rare that you see from like rival anime characters constantly beat the main character. But anyway, once the jig was up and Roger is on the ropes, he eventually ran like a little bitch, tried to cause a energy thing to spike in the building where all our characters, our main characters, they've been following since season 1, including Jack and Crow, get swept up into this portal thing, and most of them, I think, end up in a C's dimension because the whole place looks like it's in ruin, and now the others get split off too. Now we got see what Selena's up to because she believes that she can talk to and her and Sora believes she can talk to the professor, but they know full well this guy has been so gung-ho about merging these universes, and it's like I know what happens in season 3, but I'm just saying I'm not sure why the guy felt the need to use force to destroy a universe to try to get everything merged back together. Because that's his overall goal. He wants to merge all these universes together. There's a specific reason. But it's just like, I don't know why he goes to a destructive route. It seems kind of like a stupid plan, in my opinion, where he could have gone about it without causing utter destruction and etc., etc. But yeah, I mean, season 2 is fine. It's definitely better than 1 and 3 from what I remember. But man, Arc 5 has its problems, man. But I'll get more into it and then wrap it up a nice big bow once I start binging season 3, which it's only like 48 episodes, I think. So, because it wasn't much to watch on TV or stuff that I had to contend with in the past handful of days, so I really started like leaning into the binging season 2. So now I'm gonna go right into binging season 3 of Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5, and whenever I'm finished, I will get right back into making a review about that, and then we'll wrap up Yu-Gi-Oh! Franchise altogether with the only season of Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains. And after that, I'm still like debating what other show I should get back into next. I think I will want to get back into Food Wars because the franchise is completely wrapped up. So I want to just go ahead and get through all of that. But those are my quick thoughts on Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5 Season 2. God, man. Certain stuff is like a hot mess, man. I don't agree with a lot of the story beats and what the characters, certain characters' decisions, and Yuya's spending most of the time whining and complaining, and he's supposed to be some kind of dual tainer, and at least Yuma had an excuse, that the fact that he's half, or at least maybe a couple of years younger than Yuya is, so it kind of makes sense of him to be a little bit more emotional. He's an emotional kid, but Yuya is what, like 13, 14 years old? Not saying like 13 or 14-year-olds don't have their little emotional outbursts, but I don't know, he should be a little bit more like how Jaden was personality wise in the first season of GX. That's how I like to think Yuya should more be behave a little bit more like but then get a little serious, but not his fault. I think they're trying to play like that, but it doesn't read that way to me. I think Jaden having a little bit more organically, way more organically, in terms of how essentially we're just watching this guy grow up, where he's just like happy-go-lucky duels and everything like that, but more and more where he's getting rolled up into like all this magic crap, and dueling becomes less fun, and it becomes like a fight for your life kind of situation. And personally, I feel like they're trying to play Yuya like that, but it doesn't work the same way for some reason. Because Yuya's all about dual taining, and like Jaden should kind of like stick with all that and try not to let much get to him, and get like and laugh it off. It's like like, man, this is awesome. He's dueling against Sora or Yuto, and they're a little bit more serious. Like, man, this is awesome. I can't wait. I'm just psyched. And it's like, I like Jaden because he kept that attitude for at least a large part of the GX franchise before you get like halfway through season 2, when he's roped into a very serious, like dual force survival kind of situation, and then become disillusioned a bit. You kind of got to grow up, but things gets a little bit more serious kind of situation. They don't play with like that with Yuya. He seems more whiny than anything else. I get you trying to find your friend, but it seems like your focus constantly gets shifted. And I don't know. You don't see Jaden like constantly worry about like, Alexis every 5 to 10 minutes when some big threat comes down. Like, she knows how to handle herself, and it's like, can you imagine Jaden like, Alexis, like, you don't see him like that because he knows like she can handle freaking self. Sure, he wants to, if she gets lost, he'll do everything he can to find her, but he's at the same, well, then again, people will point out, well, he was like that with Jesse, but that took quite a bit of time, and even then Jaden knew he was possessed by Yubel and thrust into something, into a whole nother universe that he has to deal with two things at once. Zuzu isn't possessed by anybody. She's just like in a different dimension where it's urgent that he tried to find her, but I don't know, the loss of his optimistic spirit kind of sinks the show in my, well, not the show, but it's just like my attitude towards like the main character. I want to be able to, I don't know, Yugi, Jaden, and Yusei, I'm invested into whatever thing they're into and their mannerisms and ethos and everything like that. I don't get that with Yuma nor Yuya. I honestly, I don't know. It's like, well, a little more invested with Yuya than I was with Yuma. But like I said, in Zexo, like most of the other characters, well, like the rival characters like Shark and Kite are a little bit more invested in, more so than the main character Yuma. Here, I'm invested in Yuma, but not to the same extent as I am with something like, you know, Crow, who we already know has been established as like a character we're familiar with. But Declan, a little more invested in him and, you know, his duels, and Selena and Sora to some extent. But you know, Yuya's kind of mid in my opinion. But yeah, guys, and I know it sucks, and I'm pretty sure there's plenty of people who like Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5, but it just, you know, there's some stuff that works for me and some stuff that does not. But at the very least, the duels are still, because that's the whole main point of the show. It's a card game, and the card game's gotta be freaking epic, and at least they uphold that part. And I love seeing Jack Atlas duel, and like, and this guy, man, is just like, he's a beast when it comes to dueling. I really wish that we could have gotten Jack Atlas and Declan Akaba dueling each other, because that would be epic as hell. Because Declan is an impressive duelist in his own right too. It's like, oh my god, this dude is like freaking a devastating force when it comes to the card game. Anyway, I will see you guys later on tonight when I play a little bit more Tekken 8, some arcade mode, and maybe a couple of online matches, you know, learning more of Steve Fox. But anyway, I'll try to get this uploaded to YouTube soon. But once again, leave a comment below, let me know what you think of Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5 Season 2, and I'll see you all later on this week with a new episode of a Chaotic Lore video. It's gonna be a big one, and a couple of new movie reviews for the month of February, so look forward to that as well. Anyway, take care, and I'll see you all later. Peace.